Year 2, something really exciting has happened. We have received a postcard from Guizhou. Here is the picture on the front of it. This is a picture of the centre of the city Guiyang, which is the capital city of Guizhou. And on the back, we've got a message. On the right, you can see our address, which is probably really similar to the address you wrote last week when you were recalling our geography knowledge. And on the left, we've got the message from Miss Lee. It says, "Dear Miss Rudman, I'm writing to you from Guiyang, which is a city in Guizhou. I am a primary school teacher and I heard you were comparing Bristol with Guizhou. I'd love to help and learn more about your city. The first thing you should know is that our province is landlocked. Even though we're not near the ocean, we have lots of rivers. Our biggest river is called the Wu River. Do you have a river in Bristol? I also wanted to tell you about the climate in Guiyang. The temperature here is quite similar to in Bristol all year round, but one big difference is that we have a humid subtropical climate. This means our summers are a lot wetter than yours. I can't wait to hear more about Bristol. Miss Lee." So of course we need to reply now. First of all, we're going to have a look at Miss Lee's letter and see which bits we need to reply to and how she has structured her message. So she begins with the person that she's writing to, it's me, and she tells us where she's writing from and why. Then she's got 2 paragraphs that tell us about 2 different aspects of Guizhou. The first thing is about the fact that the province is landlocked so they're not near the ocean, but they have got rivers. And she asks us a question, do you have a river in Bristol? Which we've definitely got to make sure that we answer because we know the answer to that. The second paragraph of information is telling us about the climate in Guiyang. Climate is the weather over time. So it's not about what the weather is like today, it means what the weather is usually like over the course of a long time in the area where she lives. And then finally, she tells us she can't wait to hear more and writes her name. So for our postcard in reply, I've chosen a lovely picture of Bristol that focuses on the thing that she was asking us about whether we have rivers. This postcard clearly shows we have a river. It's called the River Avon, and we've also got the Clifton Suspension Bridge, which I think it would be really nice to talk to her about as well, because that's such a famous thing in Bristol. So let's write our reply. The first thing we need is an address to go on the right hand side, and this address is going to be very similar to the address you made recently for Guizhou, but it's going to be in reverse. We're going to start with the city and end with the planet. So we've got Guiyang, the city where Miss Lee lives, the capital city of the province Guizhou. Then we've got the province Guizhou, and then the country China, the continent Asia, and finally the planet. Hopefully that's what you made when you made an address for Guizhou recently. So we need to start off our message with who it is to. So we're going to be starting off with Dear Miss Lee, because that's the person who wrote to us last time. We need to have a comma after her name, and our next line needs to start on a new line. We don't carry on after Miss Lee, we start underneath on a new line. Now, the polite thing to do at the beginning of a letter is to thank the person you're replying to for their letter in the first place, and to say that we're really interested in what they have to say. So I'm going to start by writing thank you for the postcard. We are so interested to hear all about your city and province. Then I'm going to start a new paragraph and I'm going to talk about the two things that she talked about last time, climate and our rivers and oceans. I'm going to start with climate because I think I've got less to say about that. So I was quite surprised, I don't know about you, I was quite surprised that the temperature is really similar. So I'm going to start with a sentence about that. I'm going to say how surprising that the temperature is quite similar in our two cities all year round. But we get most of our rain in the winter, don't we? Whereas they get it in the summer. So I'm going to have a but kind of sentence to talk about that. I don't like to start a sentence with but, so I'm going to start the sentence with however, which is a bit of a better way to start than but it means the same thing. However, we get most of our rain in the winter. That's about all I need to say about the climate. So I'm now going to start to talk about Bristol and its rivers and oceans. So first of all, the biggest difference when we're comparing our two cities is that Bristol isn't landlocked at all, is it? We're quite close to the Atlantic Ocean, and the thing that joins the Bristol area in the southwest to the Atlantic Ocean is the Severn Estuary. So I'm going to tell her all about those things first, and then answer her question about the river. I'm going to tell her that we have a river going straight through our city as well, the River Avon. So I'm going to start with the biggest difference. Bristol isn't landlocked at all. We're very near the Severn Estuary, close to the Atlantic Ocean, and we also have a big river that runs straight through our city. Our river is called the River Avon. Can you see all of those proper nouns in that paragraph? All of those names of places and rivers and oceans that all need capital letters. Really, really important there. So I've talked about the difference between our cities, but I've also talked about how we've both got rivers, and I've told her the name of our river. So now I'm going to introduce a new thing to talk about. We've talked about the climate and we've talked about the river, just like Miss Lee did. So I'm also going to tell her about the Clifton Suspension Bridge, because that's one of the most interesting things about the River Avon in Bristol. Then I think it would be really nice to ask a question, just like she asked a question about rivers. We could ask Miss Lee about whether they have any bridges in Guizhou. We have a very famous bridge that crosses the River Avon called the Clifton Suspension Bridge. It was designed by Isambard King de Brunel, who was a well-known Victorian engineer in 1864. Did you remember any of those key facts about the Clifton Suspension Bridge from when we studied it? So then my question, do you have any interesting bridges crossing the River Woo? It's really nice to finish a letter with a question so that they have it straight in their head, ready to reply and answer the question next time. So I'm going to finish my letter in a similar way to the way Miss Lee finished hers. She said, I can't wait to hear more about Bristol. I'm going to say, looking forward to hearing from you, which is just very similar and a nice way to finish a letter. Miss Rudman and Year 2. Next time, you're going to be replying to Miss Lee. So think about the way that I have replied to this letter, starting off by thanking her and then talking about the things that she talked about and then introducing a new thing to talk about and adding a question.